here. Super excited to share some of the things today. We've been working with Hypernative for a long time now, and yeah, we want to start with a little story, talk some numbers, but also get you excited about how we got here and what's next. Yep. Overall, I want to talk about what does security look like beyond multi-sig, right? But a quick show of hands. I know people are just moving in and out here. How many of you use Safe? Okay, that's like more than half the room, right? Like that's good. That's good. I think for the people that don't use Safe, we're going to talk about how it's being used and how it can grow. Next slide, please. Yeah. So this is pretty much our vision, and this is our guiding principle, right? Like, where does security start? And one of the things that really stems from a lot of research, especially this year, has been that how can we make security not an afterthought? And it really simply boils down to, because transactions are like the heartbeat of our system, right? Like, without transaction, what is there, right? And security must start there. And actually, it should start even before. And security must start really before a transaction is even signed. It starts with your intention already. And for the next 8 to 9 minutes, Marshall and I are going to try to convince you how that should look like and can look like. Next slide, please. So just Safe at a glance, right? Like for the folks that do not know some of the origins, it all started with one of our co-sponsors here, Gnosis. When Gnosis needed to safely store assets on Ethereum, they did what everyone should at Ethereum. They dog-fooded Ethereum, created a smart contract to store these assets, what we call the multi-sig. And I know it's been like 8 years. We come a really long way from the magic internet money. So now we're really talking about billions and trillions. So Safe right now powers about 65 billion to 100 billion in assets, depending on the market. I mean, we recently pushed over 1.4 trillion in transaction volume. And we support over 300 chains right now. And we come really far, and what this is really going towards is that Safe right now is like the gold standard for DeFi and Ethereum. It's really the mission-critical infrastructure. If you're building anything serious and you need superior control and advanced security over how you manage your protocols, how you manage your treasury funds, and moving and activating your assets, Safe is right there. And we've come really far. And right now, I'm going to tell you how we can go even further by handing it off to Marshall.
Thanks, Rahul. Yeah, so before I get into this, if you're not familiar with what Hypernative is and what we do, we're a real-time threat detection and prevention platform. I think Karpathy was actually one of the first clients of Hypernative's 3 some odd years ago. We work with 250 plus different clients, some of the largest protocols in the space, some of the largest chains, foundations, asset managers, exchanges, and so on and so forth. And we have a whole host of solutions that focus on kind of the flow, the flow of funds, of how you'd want to kind of secure your operations. And we're going to focus on, obviously, kind of at the moment of execution here with this partnership. We think about security in a couple different ways, or I think about security a couple different ways. You can go back to the slide that you were just on. We skipped over that one. Yep, great. So on the left-hand side, you have this like menu of risks, right? You've got, and I'll give an example of maybe each one just real quick. So you've got external risks, so quite literally, who is your counterparty that you're interacting with? You know, are you about to interact with the drainer? You've got your internal risks. So, you know, maybe on one extreme, like, have you just hired somebody from North Korea that could blow up everything that you do internally? And do you have controls around that? Then you've got transaction intent. So quite literally, like, as you're about to execute this transaction, do you understand what's about to happen? And then you've got compliance risks. So these would be internal policies that you want to follow. If there's regulations that you're trying to, external kind of regulations you also need to adhere to depending on your business, you need to make sure that you're able to do all those things. Then you have this like weird trilemma, right? So you've got this kind of tension between security, of which there's components here, the ability to act quickly, so agility, and then compliance. So for example, let's say that you're a liquid fund, you see something on chain that you want to move on quickly, but you've got a bunch of manual controls in place, right? Or manual reviews in place that you have to go through. Well, maybe there's one or two traders inside your firm that they can kind of steer outside of the normal workflows, and they can go ahead and execute a transaction without those manual reviews. But you're opening yourself up to some risks in that scenario. So we'll talk a bit about how we are addressing that and how, well, I won't get ahead of myself. So yeah.
Yeah, and to kind of like, I hope now you see the breadth of all the risks, right? And often people in crypto say that we actually don't work in calendar years. We work in cycles, the bull and bear. You have to build versus hold versus do anything. The thing is that with every cycle that we've seen over the last years, it comes new users, new pain points, new user needs, new segments, new language, but also new threats. We have seen more and more sophisticated threats coming in. There are hackers in our DAO grants, applying for DAO grants. They're in your candidate recruitment pipelines, and they are basically advancing really, really fast. So the perspective right now is how do we keep them on their toes is really advanced our response model to like enterprise grade and beyond, right? And one of the biggest challenges SAFE has had is that making security more human readable, making security more palatable, because security just seems very technical, very hard to operate to the point that, I don't know, maybe someone more technical should use it. And that's the mission. This is one of the hardest missions that we've had to take on, is to kind of like, how do we make self-custody? How do we make it easy and secure at the same time? The thing is, right now, we're somehow forced to operate in a framework where we have to make trade-off of security for convenience and convenience for security. Fundamentally, one of the things that we did at SAFE is that we reject this framework. We don't want to operate in this framework. We come up with a new framework where we need both, and we will get that. And that's where we started really working with Hypernative to create a very native integration to kind of bring the best of many worlds, like on-chain, off-chain, UX, security, and convenience. And that's where maybe Marshall can even deeper dive into this.
Yeah, so I referenced some of the solutions that we have. We're going to talk about Guardian here, though, and then Rahul is going to do the big splash of how we're partnering. But what Guardian does is it effectively integrates with your multi-sig or MPC wallet, and it does a handful of things. The first is kind of the special sauce of Hypernative is that we're constantly monitoring in real time 70 plus different chains. So every contract that's deployed, we're analyzing it, we're understanding what's the intent of this contract, is it malicious, are there scam networks popping up? We don't depend on Etherscan to flag a contract before we say it's malicious. We have a lot of IP that we've developed over the last 3 years to be able to do that with a high degree of certainty and a low amount of false positives. And so because of that, we're able to detect zero-day threats, right? That's one. The second is with Guardian, you can configure like very customized policies around what your multi-sig or multi-sigs are meant to do. And these can be very dynamic. So for example, this particular multi-sig should never give an approval other than to X, Y, and Z contract. It should only trade for up to Y amount of dollars within these hours. It should never interact with an OFAC sanctioned address. Like whatever it is, you can get, again, very granular with it. And then the third part of this is enforce it on chain through the guard module, right? And so even if the supply chain or the wallet infrastructure gets compromised, even if there's something going on internal with some of, the North Korea guy that I was talking about earlier, you can make sure that as you're executing these transactions, you're checking against this module on chain, ensuring that it fits up against your, it matches up to your policy, and then if not, it would get denied. But beyond that, and then I'll kick it back to Rahul, I think security doesn't have to be filled with friction, kind of to your point. And so one of the things that Guardian also does is it gives you the ability to basically specify various transactions that should get approved as well. So, if this wallet is doing the things that are whitelisted, you don't have to go through a manual review. You can move pretty quickly and feel safe about what you're doing there. And so today we have again some of the largest treasury managers and asset managers and otherwise that are using Guardian, but now I'm going to kick it back to you, and you can talk about what we're doing together.
Yeah, and I think, thanks, Marshall. One of the challenging parts is to kind of like tell the story of what are all the things we're doing at Safe, right? Like in terms of security. We capture this, we say this as, we call this Safe Shield. So Safe Shield is a comprehensive security program. If you can go back to the slide, I want to show something. And we kind of encapsulated all of that layers of security, and we call it a security co-pilot, like your Shield co-pilot. And we just put it right next to your transactions so that it can help you guide you and verify and sign with confidence. Ultimately, what we are seeing here is that users may need much more detail or at least some sort of guidance. And what's even more peculiar is like crypto just grew like a lot. Ethereum grew a lot. And your needs on security, your needs on policy, regulation, auditability, all of this has grown exponentially. And and as that grew, what we noticed is a lot of our users, they need more and more bespoke policy, bespoke checks, bespoke requirements, support, and things like that. So this is where we partner very deeply with Hypernative to kind of create that super deep integration within the Copilot. So the security Copilot, if you have this Guardian product activated, it really can take your security to another layer completely, because you'll have on-chain protection, because I think some of y'all probably are running Safe on your own on-premise and private clouds and things like that. This will still be a value add because of how it's architected. So what I'm trying to kind of like put all of this is, next slide, please. What this really accomplishes for us is that it really takes security beyond multisig, because we are really capturing the best of many, many worlds as with off-chain checks, with on-chain policies. All that together is what really pushes us forward. Because if you're at DevConnect, one of the first opening talks you've seen is the $1 trillion security, right? Like one of the requirements or the vision points for $1 trillion security is that can we create an ecosystem where it feels secure to store $1 trillion in a singular contract, right? At Safe, we believe Ethereum will be the place where $1 trillion economy or $1 trillion economies, multiple, will exist. And a lot of that will be powered by Safe. Because ultimately, what we believe is when Safe grows, Ethereum scales. And when Safe grows securely, Ethereum thrives. And that's what we are here to power, and that's what we are really investing in on scaling, helping scale Ethereum really to bring the world's GDP on-chain. With that, we want to wrap up. Yeah.
Thank you.